All right, we are live, guys. Good evening, everyone. I'm your host, Raj Singh. I have Gurtej Fall as a co-host, and I have wonderful our team member. She's not a new team member; she's our team member now. Our third host, Ronnie Tillon. Welcome, all of you guys, and very glad to see all of you together and doing this. And today we are doing our fourth episode on the TUSD candidates. The show name is Your Choice for Better Tomorrow, and we have very wonderful personality joining us today. His name is Gerald Jeff. Gerald is having a background in a project management office. He's a project management director, and we're gonna hear from him what are his ideas, why is he running for TUSD, and what kind of changes or challenges that he's been seeing and where he can come and be a good asset to us. So before we jump into that, I just want to open up to my two hosts, wonderful hosts. Anything you guys would like to add to before we move on?
Yeah, thank you very much, Raj. Welcome, Rani. And so we have already met instructor Zachary Hefford. We have met incumbent Jeremy Silcox. We have already met business analyst Jill Costa. Today we have the privilege to meet project management director Gerald Jeffs. So he has a affiliation with military, with lots of universities, now globally working on the project management fields. So now I'll just add Jeff.
Hey guys.
Good evening, Jeff.
Hello.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much.
We're honored.
Thank you for coming.
Thank
Ronnie,
you for
please
coming, and
go
we're
ahead.
honored to have you on the platform as well. So yes, Ronnie, please go ahead.
Well, Gerald, thank you for coming to our show, and thank you for spending your Friday night with us. And basically, what this show, there's other candidates who have come to our show, and you're our fourth one, and we would like to introduce you to the community, and thank you for running as a school board candidate, and we really appreciate that. We want more and more people who have very strong background and to be part of our school district. And just to make basically, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, about your background, and how long have you been in Tracy, and what made you run for school board?
Yeah, a lot of great questions. Start a little bit about myself. Careers are interesting things. You know, when I was in high school, I was either going to be an astronaut or go into warehousing. You know, none of that really kind of happened. And so, you know, getting out of high school, I didn't have a lot of direction. I didn't know where I was going to go. No counselors were meeting with us and talking about next steps. And so I did go into the military. I went into the Army. And the reason I went in was because I wanted that educational benefit. It was at the end of the Vietnam era, and I was able to go in without people trying to kill me or me trying to kill people, because that really wasn't what it was about. And so I did my 4 years, chose not to stay and make a career out of it, and take that money, start going to night school while I started my career with Boise Cascade Office Products, then went on to Eastman, which is Office Depot, and then on to Fisher Scientific, and, you know, going to night school, working days and working nights and working a lot of different, you know, jobs with those companies. I got into startups. About 20 years ago with a supply chain service provider, executing supply chain strategies for some of the largest companies in the world. After about 10 years with a company called Menlo Worldwide, now XPO Logistics, I went over to APL Logistics. APL, you see the big container is on the road that says APL on the side. Well, we were the logistics branch. Now we're owned by a Japanese corporation, KWE, Kanitsu Worldwide Express. And I have a team of project managers that execute global supply chain strategies for very large customers. Love it. I never see myself stopping. But as I got into the field of project management, because anybody who's a project manager will tell you, they kind of fall into it. All of a sudden they find themselves having to coordinate a lot of big complex things, and they don't really know how to do that. People are asking for timelines and the resources that need to do things, and what's the money involved in all of this. And project managers, we're not the smartest folks in the room on everything that's going on, but we're the ones who have to tell the story. So that means, okay, Jerry, you got to go back to school. And that brought in George Washington's project management program. And so I went through that and I learned as much as I can and I apply it. I learned by getting the knowledge, applying that knowledge, and then I finished the education piece of it by teaching it to others. So after practicing what I had learned through George Washington for about 5 years, I actually developed a program, had it accredited through George Washington, and taught over 500 people in Europe, Asia, Latin America, and North America in the basics of project management, just to get people to understand some basic, simple things. So then I started, trying to, okay, well, how do I manage this team of people who have all these different things going on? And okay, well, that's portfolio management. Off I go to Stanford for their advanced project management education. How do you lead global initiatives? How do you cross cultures and bring people with all these different ideas and beliefs together to accomplish a single mission? Okay, great. Spent some time doing that, applying that in my day job, learning, then teaching those concepts to folks. And I was struggling communicating, how best to take a big idea, a strategy that somebody wants to do, and execute that, not just a supply chain strategy, but something big. And I was struggling communicating that to executive leadership. So St. Mary's, executive MBA, focus on communications, implementations of new business units. I went down the entrepreneur path because I wanted to better understand business modeling and communications in more of a concise upper management piece. And so as I'm going through St. Mary's, I knew that I needed to now practice this. I needed to teach this. And so I've been doing a lot of guest lectures at St. Mary's with the PMI San Francisco Project Management Institute chapter in San Francisco and in Silicon Valley. The last one I did was online, and it was the first time I ever did an online presentation with 40 professionals. I'm in my home office, they're in their bedrooms and home offices and places like that. And so I was a little bit nervous because it was hard to connect, but and moving out to Tracy, because your last piece is tell me about your connection to Tracy. How did you end up in Tracy? When have you been in Tracy? Well, after St. Mary's was all done and things were settling in, my wife and I decided we were going to simplify our lives. We're over in Dublin, born and raised in the San Francisco Bay Area. First generation U.S. citizen. Parents came down in the 50s. Thankfully, they came to the San Francisco Bay Area and not to Mississippi or Alabama. Too hot and too muggy out there for me. I love San Francisco. And I knew I had to apply these new skills. And if I wasn't going to be able to apply these new skills within the organizations that I work, and I do, and I do at the levels that I can, my team, IT, a lot of different functional groups, I'm going to find me some nonprofits where I can actually help them develop their strategies and the services and really, become stronger and better for it. And then all of a sudden I started getting these we got into the new house, things are settled in. I'm getting these text messages from the San Joaquin County Democratic Party, and they're saying, would you be interested in the school board? And I'm like, wait a second, why me? And it took a while for me to actually absorb that. I'm like, send me some information, tell me why. And then I realized it's not for them to tell me why I want to do this. It's for me to tell me why I want to do this. And I'm a bike rider. I got a bunch of bikes in the garage. I was on my bike, and what I was thinking about was, listen, I am, again, not the smartest guy in the room on anything. I'm really good at getting intelligent people together understanding the strengths and the weaknesses of an organization, a team, a community, whatever it is. Looking at the opportunities and the threats that are out there. Those are all external, right? Things that are outside of our control. And what are the strategies that we can do to either capitalize on those strengths or limit the impact of those threats? And then with those strategies, execute them. Figure out what needs to be done from point A to point Z that is actionable, that you can communicate, that you can get people to buy in on because it's the right thing to do. And I was telling somebody this earlier today. I don't come up with all these big ideas. It's kind of like Michelangelo and David. He didn't know what was inside that rock. He just took it away from that rock. And that's what the process or the facilitation of a bunch of really smart people gets you to do. You get to see what's inside that rock. And that's your strategy on going forward. Then as a team member, it's our job. I call myself a wedding planner a lot of times, trying to pull all these people together and help us go towards that goal that we all have. I know earlier we were talking about, hey, what are your issues and the problems you want to solve? They're not my issues and my problems. They're the community's issues and problems. And the community and the teachers and the other school board members and the supporting groups that make these schools run, the bus drivers, the kitchen staff, the janitors, the principal, the vice principal, the teachers, the parents, all of these people, they're the ones who come up with the ideas and the solutions. And it's my responsibility to help facilitate that and drive that big idea to an actual outcome. So, okay, sorry, not very concise, but.
No, that's
it
good.
was wonderful.
Good. Yeah, very good. So based on your, which you have a lot of experience, wow, and congrats on your new home. Based on all the experience, like you probably did read about Tracy School District.
Yeah.
What makes you think that you're a good candidate and you can change the problems that Tracy Unified Schools District is facing right now?
Yeah, there's a few things that concern me about schools in general. Tracy is, the school district in Tracy's not going to be a lot different than other school districts. First and foremost is the money. I know that right now we're looking at a $12 billion for the state of California, $12 billion deferral of payments to the schools.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What that equates to specifically to Tracy Unified, I don't know the exact number. I think it's somewhere between 12 and 15 million or somewhere around there. I don't know. I also know we have I'll say significant surplus. I don't know if that number is 20 million or 40 million. I've heard different things. I've seen different things. Okay, great. Let's understand the money we have, the money that we're going to have to wait for until 21, 22 budgets come out. And quite possibly if the U.S. Senate does something, we may only get a $6 billion deferral to the state of Cal. The deferral that Tracy Unified gets hit with may only be half of what we're expecting, but we got to plan for the worst and hope for the best, right? So we got to understand the numbers, and we have to figure out a way to make sure when we get through this, and it is going to be a fiscal challenge. Just let's agree on that. When we get through it, we need to come out of it stronger, not in a position of weakness where we have to rebuild. We have to figure out a way. And again, a bunch of smart people, smarter than me, can help us figure out how to do that. The second thing I'm most focused on for Tracy is my whole gig is around balance and equitable, balanced and equitable educational experience for all students. And right now with COVID, and I have I wake up every morning and the first thing I do after I make a cup of coffee is I sit down on my computer and I look at the COVID numbers. I'm also responsible for global safety and security for our organization. That's 7,200 employees. I have to understand what's going on with COVID, and I focus on North America. And that tells me the numbers I look at every single day. I don't really care about projections because, yeah, I can put a pin in it and say that. I want to know what is happening today, because what's happening today tells me when I think we're going to come out of this. I don't think we're going to see education like we saw at the beginning of the year again for another 18 months, if not longer, if ever. Mm-hmm. That also opened up this thing that, okay, yeah, we can make sure all of our kids have the technology they need to do at-home learning. That's just a piece of it. It doesn't mean we have an equitable education experience for those who don't have consistent internet or a support system at home that is there to help them through those math problems, English problems, science problems, music problems, physical education. What does it just go out the window? How do we make sure those kids aren't just, sitting in front of a TV or a Game Boy? How do we do that for all the students? A lot of students have the great support system. Come on, I've got 5 computers in my home office. If something goes down on one, I go to another. I boot up a hotspot on a phone, and I've got internet connected. That's not the case for a lot of people. Who does that 10-year-old working on a homework assignment on Saturday call? Is there a 1-800 I need help because my system went down, or I have a problem I just can't solve and my parents, don't know how to solve it? Who do I go to?
Yeah.
And then the last piece of it really, and it's not, and it's last on my list, but it's the thing that keeps me up at night. Again, global safety and security. I'm concerned about the safety and security of these students, not just when they are on our properties. And I haven't heard a lot of discussions around how do we help our students that may be in unsafe, unsecure environments outside of school. Because if you want to see something impact and we could talk about test results later because I have opinions on that too. It's a student who's not getting a good night's sleep. It's a student who's not being fed, or knowing where their meals come, or it's a student living in a domestic violent, situation, or they're constantly moving. You can just continue to list off the disruptions that make a student feel unsafe. So if they feel unsafe at home, where's their head? How are they doing in their homework? Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I don't think I answered your question.
I mean, you're very compassionate about this. I mean, those are the questions that we were going to ask you, and then we're glad that you actually brought them up. Oh. So basically, go ahead.
So I just want to thank you, as Gerald, you took 3 points. So the key points, that is one is about the budget. So I'll just give a brief overview. Before the COVID in May of this year, so there was 11.7 million deficit. Then there was talks from the California government to cut 10% of the funding that they provide in certain area. So that would have taken this shortfall to 26 million. But then now the funding has come, the city is in surplus. But yes, you stand for one key point that nobody know how long it's going and how it's going to impact. And being a leader, being a coordinator with different agencies, you'll definitely work towards a healthy fiscal school board. And the other point is, the technology as well as the preparedness, that these kinds of situations happen. Nobody knew and nobody was prepared. And you are focusing in that direction. Yes, we should be prepared. In this 21st century, with all the capabilities that we have, we just have to coordinate and look into different directions. As being an project manager with diverse expertise, you are leading in different directions, you are looping in different people to provide a solution. Right. And for safety and security perspective, yes, yeah, kids, they should be mentally strong, healthy, and you will be working in that direction to find the ways how kids work in the school district with good health and good mental strength. Right. So now I have a young kid from the school, so I would just invite her to ask her question. So I'll just request Gurleen to introduce herself and then have a question for Jeff.
So my name's Gurleen. I graduated from Tracy High in 2019, and I'm currently a second-year student at San Jose State University. So I had a question for you. So earlier you had introduced yourself and you told us how you had difficulty, defining your goals and career choices in high school, which, I mean, I'm sure every student relates to, and I've related to it myself. So how have your experiences in high school and adult school and just throughout life shaped your views and aspirations for students now, especially in a time like this where there's more uncertainty and it's very difficult to figure out what we're going to do with our life considering we're spending our life at home?
Yeah, great question. Long question. We'll start with the high school part. You mentioned difficulties, and yeah, you can relate to that. It was non-existent when I went, and I don't know if from my understanding and the people that I've been talking to, it's better now. But if the military recruiters, if the Army recruiters didn't come on base, I had no idea what I was doing. I had no idea what was going to happen to me in 6 months when I graduated. And congratulations on graduating when you were able to walk across the stage.
Thank you.
It does have a lot of meaning.
Yeah, it does, for sure.
Versus having people drive by in their cars and wave to you and throw cakes or whatever. I really started to formulate who I am and why I do the things that I do when I went into the military. Again, I didn't go into the military because I wanted to hurt anybody. I went into the military because I had an objective, and that objective was to get the education that I needed. If I had to do my job and I had a top secret security clearance, I had the power of a lot of big guns at my direction, I was absolutely going to do what I was trained to do. I didn't want to do what I was trained to do. Mm-hmm. And I saw too many people around me who actually wanted to apply the skills that they had learned. I really knew it wasn't for me. Going into the working world, Boise Cascade, great company, absolutely amazing company, family kind of feel to it, right? 30 years, I left 30 years ago from Boise, and a lot of the people that I went there with are still kind of there. Now they're part of Office Depot also. But one of the reasons I left Boise was because a friend, there was a couple things. There's not many people who could say this, and this is not something I am proud of. This is just something that has completely defined a lot of my thinking. I was called to sit on a jury at one point. I totally disagree with the death penalty. And I was one of the people who had to stand up and say death to a person. I think about Robert Fairbanks Jr., and this was back in the late 80s. I think about Robert Fairbanks Jr. at least once a month. He's still on death row. He'll always be on death row. That changed a lot in me. So I needed to kind of get out of Boise. I needed to do something different. A friend of mine said, come over to Office Depot, and I'll use the name Office Depot. They were Eastman at that point. Lead our warehouse for us. That weren't a cultural fit. I started learning then that culture, an organization culture, mattered more to me than the money I was making. And so off to Fisher Scientific, I got to fix a completely failed implementation of a new warehouse management application. They've been struggling for 3 years after implementing this thing. People were flying in, costing them tons of money. We got it fixed in 3 months, and it was easy to fix. I did that. Then I started helping them do startups throughout the country, and I just had to do something different. I consider going to what I did the next thing is my PhD in supply chain, because I got to see problems in a year. I would see problems at 20 or 30 different organizations that I got to help fix. And I'm talking big problems and big companies. You know, was I always leading them? Heck no. I needed to learn how to lead those teams of IT professionals, HR, operations, legal, finance, you know. And when you talk about IT, any of you guys in IT at all? There is no IT. IT is built up of networking, infrastructure, databases, different applications. You know, one guy who knows a warehouse management application has no idea about the transportation application. Right. So just this cross, and I learned, Geraldine, again, not the smartest dude in the room, right? If I want to get things done, I have to get it through trust with the experts that are in the room and help lead those experts. And I don't even know if lead is the right word. It's facilitate those experts to develop the best solution and then execute that solution. I know a lot of people talk about, well, you have to be willing to compromise and all that stuff. I'm not a huge fan of the word compromise. Yes, you have to be able to compromise at some level, but many times you can compromise yourself right into a bad solution. And what we can't have is that. If you're going to develop anything, and it could be for this, you know, school district in Tracy, it could be for a large consumer products goods or a retailer, it's got to actually fit their needs. It's got to fit the needs of their customers. It's got to actually return results. So it's all of those experiences that made me who I am. I don't even know how I got to be how I am. My mom didn't even become a United States citizen until she was in her 70s. My dad passed away before he became one. I grew up in a neighborhood in South San Francisco where 50% of the households, at least 50%, they were either operating engineers, teamsters, longshoremen, teachers, sheet metal workers. You know, I don't know how I developed I don't know how I developed who I am. It's the
hard work and your passion
it's like a melting pot of
yeah. For the longshoresmen, so as you mentioned, so when I started my career, so it was on Pier 1. So one of my manager, so his kind of parents, they were in that arena. So he used to tell always, so here longshoresmen would use their strength, physical strength. But now things have changed. Now you don't have to develop that, but you have to stay healthy. But now you have to acquire knowledge. Always keep using your knowledge as your experience from where you came, military, then education, then using that education in the fields. Again, getting the relevant education whenever you had a chance. And one thing I would say, Geraldine, so the one takeaway that I personally believe in, that the culture around you is the only thing that is in your control. Mm-hmm. So where you want to work, what kind of organization you like, as Gerald mentioned that he preferred culture over the salary or over the pay at one point of time. If you have a good people around you, your thought process will eventually be in a positive direction. Thank you, Geraldine. So what other thoughts are in your mind?
Gerald? Yeah, Gerald has something to say. Go ahead, Gerald.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Just one more thing. If you don't have a mentor, find one. Find somebody that you have a lot of respect for and trust for, and use them and listen to them, learn from that person, and grow. Because I got to be honest, I never had what I would consider a mentor. I've had to figure a lot of these things out on my own. Find a mentor. Sorry, Raj.
No. I was just gonna say, kind of facilitate the word that you like to use. I was trying to facilitate this. Go ahead, Galene, if you have any other question, any other thought.
Just another thing. So like, as you already probably know, it's statistically much more difficult for students to learn concepts on online school, especially in this current pandemic situation, which we don't know when it's going to end, how long we're going to have to do online-based learning. How do you plan on ensuring that all students like get the most out of their learning experience? And, you know, let's say like there's people who have a really difficult time grasping concepts and stuff like that. What resources do you want them to have, like virtual office hours or like a hotline? And like, how do you want to organize these types of like services?
It's kind of like I talked about earlier, Gerline. I don't have those answers. But there's a heck of a lot of really smart people that be surrounding me that together we can come up with those. I do want to address though, how do we know when somebody is having a problem? And somebody mentioned to me, I don't know, I've been doing a lot of these conversations. Well, we get it through the performance exams, right? That's too late. That is way too late. That's a lagging indicator. That tells us way after the fact that we had a problem. It kind of goes to those leading indicators. What are the signs very early on when students are doing online learning? The program I did with St. Mary's, it was a hybrid program, half this kind of a meeting online, not on your own, and the other half was in class. So I do understand the challenges with it. We have to understand and measure things. Maybe it's students not logging in on time. Maybe it's not logging in for the entire class, or not logging in at all, not getting homework assignments on, or not in the formats. I don't know. But I know that the test at the end of the year, that is useless if we aren't tracking data points earlier in the process that tell us we have a problem.
Yeah,
Sorry.
that definitely makes sense.
Thank you very much, Gerald. So thank you very much, Gerline. Much appreciated. Now we have another young kid, Harleen, so to have some of her thoughts.
Hi, my name is Harleen. I am currently a junior at Tracy High School. So I was listening to what you're saying, and thank you for joining us. It's really interesting hearing all that you've been saying. So in regards to the youth of Tracy, how would you work to give them more of a voice? In sense, like, would you think of implementing different youth think tanks here in Tracy, or just a resource so that we are more in contact in general with like the school board, because the things that kind of school board directly affect us in our education?
Yeah, thank you for that question. When I started this little journey, I had to think very quickly of who is my core team. And I know it's got to be parents. I know it's got to be educators. I know it's got to be administrators. I know all those people have to, and all the other board members. I need the voice of the students. Somehow I have to get members of the student body. I can't have all the students as my core team members. Somehow I have to get student body representation. And maybe it's only at the high school level, because you guys are at an age where, you know, you're not just eating paste in kindergarten and drawing pictures. You're starting to understand the challenges that you had in elementary school, middle school, and the high school years. I need those voices in my ear, because at the end of the day, you are my customer. Are the parents my customers? Yeah, sure. And the educators and all that stuff. It's it's our responsibility as the board, as parents, to make sure every one of you get that education experience that will make you successful in life. Kind of talking a little bit about data again, everything I keep seeing is around how many students have gone on to a 4-year degree or going on to college. Let's just call it going on to college. Could be a 2-year degree, could be a 4-year degree, whatever. I'm not finding a lot of data that tells me how many of those students actually graduated and became successful. I think what we're doing is we're cutting things off once you walk across that real stage or virtual stage. And I hope you walk across a real stage. And then it's kind of like, oh yeah, she's gone on to college. We're going to check that off, and it's going to represent ourselves against the other cities and towns in California, and California as a whole, nation as a whole. Yeah, great. Let's cheer success. That's meaningless if you don't finish and you don't get the career that you want. I work in the private sector, right? You're my customer. All the others are my support system. You're my customer.
Good. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. That was a really good answer.
It's me. You guys are
Got her vote.
Sorry.
Yeah. No, thank you, Arlene. Appreciate it. Any other thing in your mind? Okay, thank you, appreciate it. Now we have one last student, Jeff, I'll add her too.
We do? We have 3? Awesome.
Yeah, we have one more.
Yeah, we have Anika.
Hi, Anika.
Anika, please introduce yourself and share your thoughts.
Hi, my name is Anika. I'm a junior at Tracy High. I was just, you mentioned how you want equity for education of all students. And right now with the pandemic, it's kind of hard, but I wanted to focus on the special needs students in our district. Obviously, learning will be very difficult for them. So how would you go about helping them?
Really, at the end of the day, Anika, it's the same way we help all the students that are struggling. I don't have those answers. I really don't. And I wish I just pulled out my binder and said, okay, here's the problem. My SOP, if any of you guys know SOP, standard operating procedures, this is what I do when this happens. I don't have that. All I know is an equitable educational experience, and it's more than just the lectures and the books that kids get. It's, do they have the ability to learn and learn the things that they need to help them the best they can in whatever life they're going to be? Because you're talking special needs. Special needs can be from cerebral palsy to, I don't know, the hearing issues, sight issues. There can be a lot of different things. And so who are those kids? How do we know when those kids are struggling? I'm going to be honest with you. I don't even know what our faculty is and our school structure is for the special needs teaching at this time. I've been into this now for, I think I'm finishing my 3rd week of trying to grasp everything around this. All I know is there's got to be smart people, and that's the special needs kids themselves. That's the parents of the special needs kids. That's the teachers of the support system for the special needs kids. They got to help me figure that out. And then it's my responsibility to get the rest of the board members, if they don't already understand it, to understand it. I could talk to you guys for hours. We define our values and our priorities based on where we spend our money. And that tells me a lot. So it kind of goes back to understanding the budget, really understanding the budget. I'm a numbers kind of guy. And what are we spending in special needs? Is it enough? What are the results we're getting? And I'm not talking again about the final results. What are the things that are happening early on and post education? You guys, I feel like I have no answers for anybody. It's challenging. It's scary. I'm walking into something that's big, that's important, that impacts people's lives. and I get the weight of that. I really understand the weight of that.
Yeah, no, from that perspective, Jeff, you're right. Lots of lives depends on the decisions that are being made. 14,000 students go in there on the daily basis, and approximately 1,400 is the number of the staff that is affiliated or associated with the school district. Anika, thank you very much. Much appreciate. So anything else in your mind?
No,
Thank you, Anika. Much appreciate.
Thank you for joining us. Ronnie, I think you've been holding your question. So
yeah, I've been holding.
Yeah,
God, actually, yeah, I'm like, you can see it here, right?
Yeah.
Gerald, I mean, I love your honesty. I mean, you know, I like you actually pretty much answered a lot of the stuff that I actually want to ask, and you have a lot of experience, and I see that you're a problem solver. And since you have worked on the globe, so do you think, in your opinion, that we are giving our kids enough tools to get out there in the world, in this world, and are they ready for college? Are they ready for this world? Because it seems like in our country, just in the United States itself, I feel that our education system has not changed much. We just recycle everything over and over and over, and where we're like, oh no, we do change books. We change the books to a new author, whatever, but there's no change. I mean, there's 10% of the children definitely will succeed. Nobody can stop them. What about that 90% that are struggling? They're lost in the system? I mean, they have no idea. Like Geraldine had mentioned it, and where there's no counselors to guide them. There's no mentor, and what should we do to do that? Because should we hire more staff, or I don't understand, because we're actually not ready. Our children are, when they graduate from high school, they're not ready for the world. We cannot compete with other countries.
Right. You asked my opinion. Here's my personal opinion. The world is changing at this speed. We're changing our education processes at 1/10 of that, if even. If we were changing our educational mentality and how people learn, this pandemic and online learning, it would have been just a little bump in the road. We scramble like crazy. We're still scrambling like crazy, playing catch up to figure out how to make this work.
Yeah.
I can't solve world hunger. What I can do is I can help one school district start on the path of change and change leadership, not necessarily just chasing the change, but leading change. And what that does is it, for the people who come behind me in the position I'm, applying for, they have a foundation to keep that moving forward. So I don't know if I can change things enough in the time I have left on this earth to impact the students that are coming in that pipeline. I want to change it for the ones that are generations to come. I want to change the mentality that what we're doing and the way we have to think is never ending. I don't know if any of you guys ever read Simon Sinek. He's a great thought leader on infinite thinking. We don't have an end to this game.
No.
We have to have a true mission and a true vision of what we're trying to accomplish, and everything we do has to stay in alignment with that mission and that vision. I don't know if any of you guys have ever read the mission of the board. It's really long and really confusing, and I would bet you $500 nobody can recite it, so it's kind of meaningless. we have to be very concise in what we're trying to accomplish and what we want to look like in the future. And then everything we do has to drive towards that future. And we all have to be on that same page. We can debate, we can challenge ideas, and we can do it in a professional manner. And, as long as we keep moving forward, we're never going to get there if we don't take those first steps. And, you can have the healthcare. I'm going to go off topic a little bit. Healthcare. If you look at healthcare, I know people, we're all up in arms about the Affordable Care Act and things like that. You know how I saw the healthcare issue? We were taking the first step. That's all we were doing, is taking the first step. If you look at countries that have radically changed healthcare in those countries, and they've been successful, and they're delivering great healthcare to their citizens, and everybody's covered, they took that first step 50 years ago. Mm-hmm. It's a journey, and it's a never-ending journey. And I saw the ACA, for me, as that first step. I knew it wasn't going to be perfect, and people were hoping perfect out of the box. It's the same thing that we're going to do with Tracy Unified. They're already doing a lot of great things. I said, I got a bunch of videos out there because I get these mind thoughts while I'm riding my bike. I said, I'm not doing this because I think Tracy Unified is broken and needs to be fixed. I'm doing this because I have some really kind of unique skills and experiences that I can capitalize on the successes we've already had and help us minimize those threats and strengthen our weaknesses. That's why I do this.
That's wonderful. That's really wonderful. I think you hit the right point in a very honest and truthful and blunt way. So we appreciate for all that honesty and bluntness. So thank you.
So
me. Sorry.
You're fine. Your answers are, you really elaborate on your answers, and some of the questions we have, or I have, you actually do answer them in there. So actually, I like that. I don't have to talk too much.
Jeff, one thing I'm thinking since long, always I have seen the project managers, as Raj, he's in the same field. So I have always seen a project manager as a leader. But today I have learned another terminology, that is, you have put it in such a nice way, as a facilitator. Yes, you have to work with. So leader is sometimes a strong word. So somebody interprets that this person will have a focused direction, will lead in one direction. But no, you have to work with different personalities, different people, and get the work done with the resources that are in your hand.
Right, Raj knows.
You keep saying, you're not the smartest person in the room. I think you're the smartest person in the room.
When it comes to project management, I'm pretty good. Strategy management, I'm pretty good. Raj knows this stuff. We are in control of nothing and responsible for everything.
That's correct.
No, thank you.
Very well said.
Yeah. And I think our show's almost over. And, in small, just very brief, tell us what you want the people, the audience, to get, what your vision is, in just in a very couple of sentences, and what do you want them to, what do you want to leave them with? Yeah.
I am mission driven and vision focused, and I will work my tail off for the Tracy Unified School District.
Nice.
There you go. Simple, to the point.
Yes, simple and sweet.
Thank you very much, Jeff. Thank
you, Jeff, and good luck. Wish you all the best.
Yep.
Thank you. For any follow-up questions, we would advise our audience to have just send their follow-up questions to Jeff at his Facebook page, or please send those follow-up questions to us. We will definitely share those questions with Jeff for further clarification. And please vote and make an informed decision by learning about your candidates. And please vote on November 3rd.
Yes.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Bye. Have a good night.
Bye. Nice meeting you.